Hello, everyone. Welcome to the webinar. We're just giving a couple of seconds for everyone to join and we'll kickstart. Okay, we have a few participants joining still. Let's give a few more seconds. Okay, then let's go. We have no time to waste of this fine afternoon. So again, welcome everyone. Welcome to today's webinar on topic modernization strategies from infrastructure to AI. And thanks everyone already for taking the time to join us this fine Wednesday afternoon. Fantastic. Wednesday or Thursday even? Is it Thursday? Yes, it's Thursday. It goes fast. Quick intro. Just a quick housekeeping slide for everyone. The attendees, dear audience, you're muted, so please use Q&A section to ask us questions. We'll pick them up at the end of the webinar. We'll share also the presentation and recording with you by Monday. So happy to answer all of the questions. Perfect. Modernization. Who hasn't heard the word modernization in their work, right? But how many of us or how many of you in audience know how it's done, or even more how it's supposed to be done? We know modernization is like upgrading the old clunky station wagon to a new sleek car. It's faster, more efficient. It's way better for the environment, your digital environment in that scenario. And hanging by outdated systems is like trying to stream Netflix on a dial-up connection. It's like technically possible, but why would you do that? And I don't want to spoil too much of today's presentations because you will know much more, but I can already tell you that by embracing the cloud-native solutions, by refactoring your applications and using modern platforms, the businesses can and will improve performance. They will reduce cost and you can also scale. Plus, let's be honest, your customers expect it. I'm pretty sure we have some people in our audience today who are coming from business background, not necessarily technical. So, you know, the best that your clients are not interested in anything vintage anymore, unless it's a Instagram filter maybe on the picture. Now, this is why we are doing this, but how we are doing this, that's the question. And that is also why I have the three fantastic speakers with me today. So my name is Carolina. Normally I'm project manager, cloud project manager. And today I'll be the moderator. You may be wondering what a project manager has to do or has to offer when it's about modernizations. I can tell you, as project managers, we talk to a bunch of people, we listen, and we need to draw conclusions to learn for our projects. And what I've seen in my projects in Scandinavia and in DACH region so far is that modernization is a big word, sometimes perceived as scary or maybe unnecessary, but it doesn't need to be. So my three panelists of today, Ahmed, Patrick, and Steve, they're here today to share their experience, ideas, and lessons learned on the way, and some of their best practices with you. Steve, Ahmed, Patrick, welcome and happy to have you here.
Everyone, Ahmed here, Senior Azure Architect at Nordcloud. Really glad to be here to talk to you about modernization today.
Hi all, Patrick, my name, I'm the Digital and App Innovation Specialist from Microsoft, bringing you the the insights from the field.
Yeah, and I'm Steve Blaser, the product owner for Azure Cloud Foundation at the Swiss Post, and I will tell you about our journey.
Fantastic. Thank you, guys. Now, just a word of introduction. I'd like to kick off by presenting the company Nordcloud, our host of today, and the company I work for. So at Nordcloud, we live and breathe public cloud. Our portfolio covers projects for cloud strategy, for migration solutions, obviously modernization, and a set of managed services offerings that we have for our clients. We are also Microsoft partner and Azure expert MSP, meaning we have the skills and trust to help maximize the value of Azure platforms. We are also eligible for the right fundings. We've been honored 2023 as Microsoft Western Europe Partner of the Year. And we've been successfully delivering Azure solutions and projects to clients in Europe with one happy example here on the presentation we have from Sponda. And now to the actual topic, starting off with the first presentation. There we go. Yes. So picture this. Your application is like this old steam engine. It was marvel of engineering a long time ago. It's not yet, like it's not in a fast-paced world. It just doesn't cut it anymore. So this is the same with your application. Your application might still work, but is it still keeping pace? That is the question we should, or you should ask yourselves as business owners, as also technical owners of the applications. So this is what Ahmed does in his business hours. He's getting those old-fashioned applications and businesses into their first steps into the wonders of cloud, of modernizations. So without further ado, let me hand over to our first speaker, Ahmed, who will focus on the first important thing, very often forgotten. So how do you get started?
Thank you, Caro. Hello, everyone. I'm very happy to be here today to talk to you about modernization strategies and to walk you through some real-life examples from our implementations with our customers. So let's get started. So starting with the modernization, the first step is to have the right strategies in place. And these strategies focus on the modernization of the processes, databases, as well as the modernization of the applications. The process modernization is essential for driving efficiency, agility, and collaboration within the teams. And this slide illustrates the tools and the strategies involved in this process. So at the core of this transformation is Azure DevOps, and this is to enable seamless integration and management of the development lifecycle. Starting with the Azure repos, we ensure source control and versioning to maintain the code quality and collaboration within the team. And then to the pipelines, where we automate the build and the deployment process, so to deliver faster and to be more reliable with our releases. And finally, the Azure boards, where we bring everything together with robust project management tools to ensure visibility and alignment across the team. So application modernization is a journey, and that transforms the legacy systems into scalable, efficient, and modern solutions. So we start with the monolithic applications, which are often tightly coupled, and they are challenging to scale. So the first step is to move to the rehost phase or the lift and shift. And with this, we move the applications to infrastructure as a service platforms like Azure Virtual Machines and Azure SQL Machines. And next, we move to the refactoring, where we leverage the platform as a service. With this, we enhance the functionality we enhance the performance as well as the scalability of our applications. And finally, we move to the re-architect. And with this, we leverage the serverless microservices, taking full advantage of the Azure modern technologies such as Azure Functions, Event Grid, and Kubernetes services. So the first step with the rehost, that's to migrate, and then the refactor and the re-architect steps, they represent the modernization. And now off to the exciting part, which is the real-life scenarios, where I am going to show you a real-life case where we helped one of our customers achieving the application modernization in the cloud. So looking at this architecture, the application architecture is divided into 3 different layers. The first one is the observability and the shared services. The second one is the hub layer, and the third one is the spoke. So let's take them one by one. The observability layer is the critical layer for monitoring, logging, and for ensuring the operational health of the system. It includes components like monitoring dashboards, log analytic workspaces, and alert system that provide visibility into the performance and the reliability of the infrastructure and the application itself. The hub layer. This layer acts as the central connectivity point, and it manages and secures the traffic between various components of the application architecture. It includes components like Azure Firewall and virtual network peering, so to facilitate communication between the on-premises systems as well as the cloud, and also the different spokes in the application. And the hub ensures centralized policy enforcement and connectivity management while we are still enabling the scalability in the same time. The spoke layer represents the individual workloads of the application, and these workloads are segregated into their own virtual networks. These different spokes, everyone has its own network, and the spokes ensure basically good isolation, scalability, and secure connectivity with the hub layer. So with that, each spoke can be tailored to specific workloads, such as application hosting, or it could be database spoke, or it could even be Kubernetes clusters. And with this, we still benefit from the shared services and the hub layer. So now we have been looking at one side of the application, which is the left-hand side of the screen. I would like to mention that those 3 layers, the observability, the hub, and the spoke layers, are replicated on the right side of the diagram. And this is to ensure high availability. So the application is fault tolerant, and this is done by enabling the failover between the regions. So with that, we maintain service continuity, business continuity, and even in case of the failure or disruptions in one single region. And now I would like to walk you through the security implementation in this app. A robust security solution has been designed to support end-to-end encryption. And the solution consists of the ingress layer, which is the one shaded on the left-hand side, as well as the application security layer, which is the one on the right-hand side. So if we're thinking about the ingress level, we start with the application gateway as the main entry point to the system. And this, the application gateway, performs layer 7 traffic inspection using web application firewall. So with that, we protect against common vulnerabilities. And then this traffic is routed to the Azure firewall, which handles the TLS inspection, and the IDPS, which is the intrusion detection and prevention. The firewall will decrypt, inspect, and re-encrypt the traffic. With that, we identify and we block potential threats. So this multi-layered defense ensures a robust protection against external attacks at the ingress level. However, we still have a different layer to protect, which is the in-application. In-application SSL encryption ensure end-to-end security as traffic moves through the load balancer down to the Nginx ingress in this diagram, and then to the Kubernetes pods. This additional layer of SSL will always ensure data security and integrity within the application, even after the ingress security mechanism. By combining the ingress security with the IDPS and the in-application SSL, the architecture delivers comprehensive protection for both external and internal traffic. And last topic here in my presentation is to walk you through the pipeline design that we have implemented. So the pipeline implementation follows the modular and secure approach. It is multi-layered pipeline, which includes multiple different layers like the global components, regional build agents, hub networking, application and test services, as well as logging and monitoring services. And this architecture ensures secure, scalable, and efficient CI/CD pipeline implementation while still supporting multi-region deployments and high availability. And with that, I'm reaching to the end of my part in the presentation. Thank you very much, and back to you, Carolina.
Thanks a lot, Ahmed. That was really interesting. I would say it's not often one can see and like deep dive into the actual live architectures. So I hope it was as refreshing for me as it was for our audience. Just quick reminder to everyone, if you have questions to Ahmed, you can already put it in the Q&A and we'll pick it up later. Perfect. Now I will allow our attendees to imagine that they're past the stage. So let's say you have this well-structured, quite modern infrastructure now for all of your apps, ticking the most important boxes that Ahmed mentioned on the well-architected infrastructure. But it's almost 2025 and AI is in the news, in the fridge, in your phone. So it's obviously in your competition's infrastructure. So how do you use it best? Can you use it? Can you use it to win something more than the others? With this, I will let Patrick to let us present that.
Thanks very much, Caro. Before we start, normally in such a modernization story, in such an AI story, we need budget. And we get normally budget from our managers and for creating such amazing projects like Ahmed also already gave us. And for that, we need some arguments. So let's start in with some strategies for app modernization. And also with the topic, how we can infuse then AI in this modern application world. So if we go to the why of the whole story for a possible modernization, we see at the moment that especially the topic of maintenance costs and operational models bring the necessary arguments to our managers and our streamline managers to bring that AI story and also the modernization story to life. At the end, AI is in all world, is in all mouth, but did it make really sense to integrate AI in everything what you can? I would say no. I would really say no, because we have to have a clear scenario, a clear use case where AI really can enable us the life a little bit easier, and that is created from the beginning by creating a target scenario, integrate AI already in the strategy for doing it, and drive the modernization over the stages you've seen already from Ahmed, from the beginning to the end. Potential next arguments are every time finance and savings, what you can bring in. If we see that on the field, with the first step of a migration, there are some cost savings between 20 and 30%, especially for reducing the maintenance and having some hardware savings from the investment. But if we just stuck in the rehosting world or just planning it step by step, meaning first I plan the rehosting and then I make a new project for the optimization, I will never reach that. We see that from the practice. If I want to modernize from end to end, I have to plan the modernization or the innovation stream already from the beginning. For getting all these cost savings in the second field, it's especially necessary that the database modernization is in place, also for AI solutions. Classical AI projects normally failed if the data state isn't set for the right automation and for the right technology on the AI field. The code on the modernization should be cloud first enabled. Means you have a container, you have a smooth as possible application and you have the necessary DevOps capabilities in-house. And I would say we go also a step further, meaning we don't need DevOps skills in it, we need DevSecOps skills for everyone. The innovation part at the end, just a hint there, we only get our ROI back in this thing if we integrate the business. Application modernization is not a story that IT can drive by themselves. The most projects where IT drive only a modernization or only have an isolated view on the application fails because the business doesn't jump on this chance to digitalize themselves. And if I integrate the business, I have also the task to think about how I streamline all these necessary things. There I have normally two separated approaches. The first approach is the workload or the team-based approach. In that case, I normally make clear discovery and assessment phase, making some program analysis, giving there some gap analysis, and then I go in an implementation mode. So you see in the whole story of modernization, if I do a team-based approach or a workload by workload approach, I have a lot of mini projects where all the people doing the same again and again and again. So in that case, it would make more sense if I have a company-based approach. But the company-based approach normally has the issue that I have a lot of other streams that I have to identify. Then one of the most important stream for that is skilling. You drive into a new world of technology when you come from the legacy world. Not every engineer already thinking about a platform is ready for that. So skilling is a very important topic on that. And from the other hand, the AI modernization stream, how we already seen before, it really needs to be drilled down inside of the use case. So it doesn't make sense that we're doing just a little bit of AI on the end of the project. It has to be the target from the beginning to enable that. As an example for all these streams, that's a possible project. I'm going to see a lot of small tasks and small buckets were repeating every time. In that case, it really makes sense that you have with your milestones or with your stream points or your timeline, what you really set on it, you're creating small hackathons to infuse the people, to skill up the people and bring them on the same line so that they can do their projects or their separated modernization by themselves. Skilling is an all over topic, and it really makes sense that you create with all of your users and also developers like a driving license for going to the cloud so that the mindset and also the naming of the components are the same for your whole project. Okay, organization is set, budget is set, we know what we want to do. So let's talk about bring AI in that thing. And you know, Microsoft loves to talk about Copilot, but that's not the case here. yes, Copilot is a potential solution to bring fast AI component in the conversational thing, but mostly what we want to reach with AI. The real business outcome for Azure in AI is really reducing costs, reducing the training of models, or getting better content approval over everything. So makes the life easier. And in that case, the most important currency for an evaluation with AI is all the time. So the time we can save with the modernization with AI, with the adding for AI for a potential program, that is your value, what you're bringing back if you integrate AI. And also the platform can help there to integrate AI solutions. When we take a look to all this AI-enabled possibility, a classical AI design has 3 to 4 components. We have a developer productivity, means the developer at the end has to have AI possibilities like GitHub Copilot or Copilot Studio to create, quote, crazy shit for new legacy applications. So, but the AI platform themselves with Azure OpenAI, with the different Azure learning models, and also the whole cognitive services has to be correlated and coordinated from a governance perspective. We see that a little bit later. From the app platform, it's clear. Modern AI infused application is API-based. Mean I need a clear control of my API management. I need containers with separated API in a microservice or not so microservice architecture based on the preferences of the company. That's working. And at the end, the data platform is the match or not. SQL, yes, that's clear. We love SQL, but also other databases in a Cosmo or an OSS database has to be modern to consolidate all this information we are generating with that. And a few seconds above, I talked about coordinating or consolidating all AI streams. With that, I would like to give you the potential for your landing zone to integrate the AI Gateway Hub. That means it's a free piece of solution where you can integrate in your landing zone that correlates all API calls to AI to your data over centralized API management, make it monitorable, make it possible to charge back, and have the possibility for the security to clearly define which model, which location, and which AI solution can be used by whom. So it makes the whole AI thing routable, manageable, and resilient if I need that on a private connectivity. And after that story, you have the chance to modernize your application and infuse it with AI. And with that, back to Caro.
Thank you so much, Patrick. Before we let our attendees go into their Azure landing zones, go and try with AI Gateway Hub, I will still need your time for a second. I love good stories, you know, I love good stories, and every good story feels good to me when it has a happy ending. So our final speaker, Steve, will actually take us on a journey through a story in the making, because he's going to present where Swiss Post is right now. So where did the company start their modernization adventure, how they're going and how they're doing until now, and what they have prepared for the future. So I'm really looking forward to hear more about this. Over to you, Steve.
Thank you, Caro, for the nice words. Yeah, I will tell you about our journey, who now consists of merely 6 years already. So pretty long time, huh? And we're still not finished. So to give you some background, what actually is the Swiss Post of a company? We have like 5 or even 6 different departments who address very different business needs. We have logistics services, we have enterprise services, we have custom touch points, And also the very new kid on the block, digital services, you may read sometimes in the news. And to address these different needs, we need to have a clear foundation that can facilitate all these different actors, right? So that's where we started. We decided we need to have a strategy for cloud at Swisspost. Then the management decided the best goal for, or the best way for Swisspost is a multi-hybrid cloud solution, which means we support 2 different public clouds and 1 private cloud managed by us self. And one of the public cloud happens to be Azure. So that's why we have the privilege to provide such a foundation. And what want we do with this foundation? We want to support the way into the private and public cloud for our customers. At Swisspost, we want to offer an ideal environment for such modern cloud native application we've just heard about, but also for the legacy applications we just migrate as is, which you have seen in Ahmed's presentation. And for that, how do we offer that? We go on and provide such landing zones you already heard about. And what is a landing zone? A landing zone on Azure means a scalable and modular deployment of a repeatable infrastructure that can apply configurations and controls to every subscription consistently. And you can differentiate between different departments based on their different regulatory needs or even ease of use. And we do that with infrastructure and policy as code, so we can make it very easy to deploy and again repeat the infrastructure in case of something is changing. And with that, I will show you the big picture. That's where we started. We have a big picture mainly adopted from the cloud adoption framework from Microsoft to our needs. And I will walk you now to different parts of this big picture. Starting in the middle, we see our structure of the management groups. We have the tenant root group that is provided by Azure on each tenant likewise. Then we have created our own root management group, PostCH, and under that we have 3 main management groups consisting of Foundation, which our subscriptions live in, where we basically manage everything. We have the Leaf subscriptions, where all the customer subscriptions live, and we have Sandbox as a management group for a very easy to use Sandbox subscription, where you can directly start with your POCs, with your exploration of Azure services without the hassle of caring about all the governance we will later apply to your production. You see on the left also we have decommissioned MSDN. This is decommissioned. We transfer all the subscription that were no longer pursued. And MSDN is a management group we have in place for all the Visual Studio Enterprise license credit subscriptions that there are. But mainly for the foundation, we have then further divided it by 3 different sub-management groups. The shared services consisting of subscriptions for AKS, which is a shared service by our means. We have also plans to bring Kafka to the cloud, and we have, for example, also different image galleries and container images where we can consume from there. And then in the middle, we have security, which basically can be also abbreviated as management. There we have 3 different subscriptions we will look at later: management, logging, monitoring, and auditing. And in the connectivity part, we have just 1 subscription, which is the connectivity, which basically consists of the hub of our networking. Then on the Leaf subscriptions, you actually see what we call landing zones for the customers. We have 2 with Post Hybrid Cloud, or before named Palladium. We have Post Public Cloud only, which is called here basic. And basically the differentiation between those means networking provided by our internal network or not. And on the right side, sandboxes again have this differentiation between those. So you can choose. Further, then from this picture, we will go now clockwise, starting from the top. Here you see basically our on-premise services we consume or need to consume to provide something for our foundation. So we have the whole identity management, which is not handled by us. We have an EIM portal where our customers can order two different roles, actually, billing manager and application manager. We have these two different roles. And then they get populated into our on-premise Active Directory, which still is and will be the master of the identities. And it is then further federated with Entra ID Connect to the Entra ID here, still called Azure Active Directory. And then these identities live there. We can give them access to different things, but in the end, they will only have read access since we have mandatory infrastructure as code deployment. So we can't give you write access to subscriptions directly, at least. We have the tool of privileged identity management, which we leverage a lot for different tasks. Like, for example, if you are an operator who needs to restore a database or another service, you need for a certain amount of time the possibilities to write directly or copy stuff to your VM or your database. And then you can elevate yourself with privileged identity management to that role or to that privilege for at most 8 hours. We also enforce MFA for all these. We have it reported in our audit logs, and we also have mails who come to our foundation team that we can closely be informed if somebody activates PIM and what he does actually. And then again, on the right side, you see our code stack, if you want to say so. We have Bitbucket repos hosted also on premise, three different projects. In the Azure project, we host all the cloud, all the subscription repositories. In the CF Cloud Foundation project, we host all the repositories that are composing this foundation. And in the Terraform project, we host all the modules we provide to our customers. We then also use Jenkins, which is also hosted on premise for basically releasing different modules or also for some jobs which interact a lot with on-premise services. But for the deployment of our infrastructure, we rely on Terraform Enterprise workspaces who basically fire against the Azure API and deploy stuff. And we also have a HashiCorp Vault on premise that provides us with a secret and certificate management. Yeah, then going forward, now we go to the right-hand side. I look a lot more at the networking. Here we see more of the hub connectivity subscription. Inside there, we have the hub VNet, which consists of a CloudGuard firewall, basically a firewall between our on-premises and our cloud environment. Then after that, we have an express route with a VPN who connects our on-premise to our foundation, and we have user-defined routes who connect also our subscriptions to the hub. Because basically on the firewall, you have either an outreach to Microsoft Backbone for some exceptions, but usually you don't have outreach to the internet directly. You will be routed to our on-premise networks and then be routed over our proxies to the internet if you need internet access. That's it if you happen to be post-hybrid cloud as your landing zone, or Palladium, as mentioned before. We also have in the connectivity hub our DNS running, and also a conditional forwarding service who forwards these DNS packages to on-premise with DNS zone that is only valid on-premise. We also then provide basically here on the bottom the subscription to our customers. It consists of all you see here. The VNet is directly propagated into their subscription with the DNS private zone they need or choose, with the defined routes, as said before, and with network security groups who have rules applied who restrict them for actually outbreaking also to the internet. And inside there, you actually then have your playground to deploy the Azure services that consist of your application, like, for example, an Azure Key Vault, Azure File Service, or a load balancer with VM scale set behind, you name it, whatever you actually need to operate your application. We also link you to our log analytics workspace, and we also give you access to the shared services there, and we enforce our policies, link you to your security center, and give you all the overview you may need. Then going to the bottom, you will see now basically our 3 subscriptions we operate everything in. So the auditing subscription consists of auditing access. We have services that ensure vulnerability scanning of VMs and other services. We control our syscontrols there, where we have the overview, and also the security center connections are managed inside there. In the middle, we have the management subscription, where we run all our automation and function tasks, recurring tasks, aftermath of our vending, basically. If we vend a subscription, we have a lot of aftermath tasks to do, like putting you in the right management group, or giving you access to the on-premise services. And on the right side, you see the logging and monitoring subscription, where the log analytics workspace lies, and where we also forward everything to our indexers, to our Splunk indexers, who again live on-premise for everything. And on the left-hand side of the pictures, you have seen also the shared services. I also briefly talked about that, where we basically have AKS container image galleries and server OS image galleries. But these are actually several subscriptions. Each of these services has different subscriptions. AKS even has several subscriptions for each business unit, right? You have only a shared cluster per business unit to reduce the blast radius there. So yeah, that would be it for the big picture. On the left, top left, you see also the sandboxes, where, yeah, basically it's the same like a Leaf subscription, but you are pushed to use IAC there. And so we come to an overview over the features we provide. So as you've seen, we have these different 2 foundation types as our landing zones. We have the just-in-time elevated permission for operations with privileged identity management. We have, for example, customer-managed keys baked into all our building blocks, which consist of Azure Windows and Linux VMs, Postgres, SQL services, Kubernetes service, app services, storage accounts, key vaults, and actually many more, because it's impossible to list everything. And it's always expanding, since we are very much customer-centric and feature-driven. So if a customer first requests some new service, we evaluate it closely, add it to our backlog, and prioritize it accordingly. And we also have a VM schedule service, where you can schedule your VMs so they only run for a certain amount of time. Maybe your service is only needed during business hours, or you can it is only needed for some batch job at some certain time, so you can optimize costs there. And we also have our private PKI, so public key infrastructure, also automated, integrated into the services that need certificates. And this is, again, these are only some of the features. We have actually a lot more. And here we also have the continuous services that we provide. So again, we have the seamless integration into our corporate network with the whole connectivity subscription I've just described. We have this policy-driven governance where our policies will tell you what you need to follow to be compliant also to our architectural goals. And we also provide GitOps workflows for basically everything from ordering a subscription to ordering, as we've heard, a new role in privileged identity management. So whatever workflow you can think of, we have a GitOps workflow for that to make it to make it consistent and also to see the history. We also have an automated quality assurance, so we enforce, we monitor the drift of your workspaces. If you managed somehow to have a drift to your Terraform code, we will point it out to you. We will also manage your dependencies. So if we release a new module version and you don't track that, you will get notified in your Git repository with RenovateBot. And we enforce some linting and documentation guidelines on the repositories. We also have service resource and financial notifications, which you will be alerted if you, for example, have a resource or service that goes on maintenance window in a few weeks, or we will also inform you when your budget will be exceeded and you can inspect what is happening that the service costs more than you was imagining. When we can then do optimized saving plans for our whole organizations. So we have the best possible costs for our customers. And we provide our customers also with a journey buddy program where they can basically have support from our team if on their journey with their application to the cloud. And lastly, we give them access to the Premier support, which is directly possible in the Azure portal. So yeah, how does that all enable modernization? It basically is the starting point, but not just that. We enable the innovation and allow our organization to modernize applications in their different business needs, but we enable them to do it confidently because maintaining the governance and security they know from on-premise, but also giving them the possibilities to scale, which is really only possible on the cloud. And yeah, with that, I'm finished with my presentation and I give back to you, Carl.
Thanks a lot, Steve. Really interesting. I'm really curious what the attendees also have. Maybe there will be some questions about the cloud foundations, because I remember when I started working with Post, I was just amazed how well advanced and organized this is. So thank you so much for making this easy to understand. So just to sum up, we've seen the basics of the modernization setup first. Then we moved into the bold new world of using AI to keep up with Patrick. And then we saw how Swiss Post is enabling the modernization within the company. So officially, we are now moving to the Q&A portion of today's webinar. We'll start with the first questions. Of course, you can, in the meantime, ask your questions as well. We saw we had one question. Anyone wants to add anything about it? I see Ahmed and Steve already. You shared your answers. Anything you want to add? Going off mute. If not, then 1 second, can I see it? Good. Then I have a few more questions. 1 second. I have a few more questions that I got internally, so let me maybe start also with those. Maybe first one to Ahmed. Building on your presentation, but also asking from wider experience, when modernizing applications in Azure, what key patterns or strategies have you seen to be proven as best or delivering the best results? Maybe you can focus on complex or monolithic systems.
So absolutely, I mean, one of the best strategies to follow is to always maintain your code as infrastructure as a code. And with that, you protect yourself from accident deletion, data loss, and you can easily deploy and replicate your application as needed. That's one of the aspects, of course.
Super. Thanks a lot, Ahmed. Then I would have one to Patrick as well, because we see the role of hyperscalers within our business. We see the role of hyperscalers is growing in enabling the cloud native solutions. You mentioned some of the AI-driven tools and platforms already, but which one would you suggest as a starting point for legacy applications? Any like top 2, top 3 on top of your head?
It's really difficult because it has a direct impact. What is your strategy for a migration process? So if you want to go more in the direction of a rehosting, potentially replatforming, an AI integrated tool could be Azure Migrate or Dr. Migrate to get some information out of it. But at the end, if you want to really drive a legacy to modern migration, you have to go deep in the code to really rewrite it. And there we have the first misunderstanding what is modernization, because modernization doesn't mean that I have the code or that I have the solution from an ISV where I'm modernizing just by transforming. Modernizing really means I go to the code, I rewrite the code, and I make it modern. And for that, I need an explicit tool to help that. Mostly, I would say Topcast, Cloud Pilot are 2 possible tools who go AI infused for a modernization story to get the information how to modernize, and then of clear GitHub Copilot to create the modern code.
I hope the attendees are making notes. This is good. Super. We have another set of questions. We have maybe one. When Post is talking about customers, is this meant internally or do you have external customers? I saw Steve, you also started responding this one.
Yeah, I can respond it directly here. So we, Post IT, we provide service to our internal customers, but they are business units, as I've mentioned before, especially digital services. They will then provide based on our foundation, on our ground services to the public. Yeah, so it's a chain in the end.
Thanks, Steve. We have another one also for Post. Post is making great progress with their cloud migration. What are the main challenges for Post engineers with this adoption? I guess, Steve, you can try to.
So recently we reached out to our customers who are already migrated to hear about their challenges. And the main challenges are that, it's a shift in technology, it's a shift in approach also with a lot of engineers are maybe not as accustomed to GitOps as others. And the other challenge is also for devs that they tend to fire the infrastructure and then forget about it, and weeks, months later, they need to change something and they aren't sure anymore. So as again, we tackle that with our quality assurance, and we will also provide other features for them so they can feel confident at any point, even if they haven't touched their infrastructure in weeks or months, to fire it up again.
Yeah, I would just agree with you, Steve, on this one, I guess. Then I have another one, initially to Steve, but maybe Ahmed and Patrick, you would like to add something to this as well. As cloud adoption grows, balancing cost efficiency and innovation becomes critical. How do you see your organization prioritizing these aspects during the modernization journey? So, Steve, for the post-organization.
So, I mean,
Balancing cost.
the funding basically was a management decision that, yes, we want to modernize. We consulted also all our business units and our top level management, and they said, yeah, this is the strategy we want to go. So we want to modernize. But yeah, in the end, each business unit or each application, even each application owner needs to decide for himself, how will this modernization look for him, and how will it fund, and what is the return on invest for him. So we have very different ways how we modernize. For some, we basically go all the way, like Ahmed showed you, and for some, maybe we just do some tweaks here and there and move you to the cloud and give you ways to optimize your OpEx costs. Yeah.
Maybe I would just add to this something I've seen as well. It's used very often is verifying early in the cloud adoption the possible optimization, also looking at cost, that sometimes there are the simple tweaks that you just turn off stuff when it's not being used, or that you enable some small, like lower costs when setting up the application, so that you have the cost of the infra also in your mind. I also saw this being done.
Maybe Caro, to elaborate also a little bit more on that. So the path that you have seen in my presentation, when we go to lift and shift as a stage number 1, and then we rehost and refactor, skipping the first step, which is the lift and shift. This is the most expensive approach because we're leveraging a lot of infrastructure as a service, and it is typically more useful and incur a lot of cost saving if we can prepare our application for the cloud before moving it to the infrastructure as a code.
Yes, correct, exactly. Then we have a question about the fund for modernization. I see, Patrick, you started to respond to this one, but maybe you would like to, or some of our speakers would like to answer it out loud.
The problem on this question is, yes, it's correct. In the current mindset and in the current in the current field of modernization, we think all the time it have to be already a ROI when it starts with the modernization, and that we haven't. That we clearly haven't. It's over time, and it could be segmented in different mini steps and get the fund out of it. It's all the time over time. So that means I can lower operational costs, I can lower costs in support, I can reduce hours of additional fixing and engineering for a special application if I modernize that on a new technology level. But it isn't from one to that it already have a ROI if I just start the migration. Where I get this fund from, it's really a company decision. The most companies at the moment say, I have the I get the fund out of it if I can improve the life of my application users to use less time and use less HR cases because my working environment is better and I have more satisfied user with it, then really have a monetary ROI on the first stage.
Real nice. Yeah. Makes sense, Patrick. Thanks a lot. What else do we have? Also, we have some internal questions. Ahmed or maybe Patrick, from your perspectives, what are the biggest barriers to modernizing infrastructure?
The most barrier, the willing to start, the will to start to say, yes, we are going away from on-premise infrastructure. We're going in a trust model with a hyperscaler who can bring me that one, and to build up for a cloud foundation like Steve presented it, because it's highly automated, it's highly mature in all that level, and that's the biggest holdback point where we see to start all with that. It's like standing in front of a wall. Whoa, that's huge what's coming to me. And if my organization doesn't have the mentality to stay, okay, we take it step by step, we moved it slow up on this wall to really climb it up, you will never start. And that we see also on the customer side. If you have clear, good, adapted DevOps-based organizations, they don't have any problem with starting by cloud. Really not, because you take small steps, you break that down, you go into the project. If you have old holistic organizations, monoliths in it, to say, yeah, let's make 3-year concept before we start with the cloud migration, you will never be there. So starting with cloud and starting with modernization is all the time also an organizational, and with that, a learning project.
Yeah, fully agree with that, Patrick. And also that relates to the change and upskilling, right? So first is the buy-in from all the stakeholders in that organization, and then we move to the upskilling, where we adopt the processes, the modernization of the processes you have seen in my presentation.
I would maybe also add priorities, that actually there's always something that you need to do. You should normally, people are focused on delivering the features, and you sometimes don't see you don't see the features by modernizing the application. It's easier, it's faster, it's better for the environment, but it's normally not that visible to the end client. So priorities. Fantastic. I think we are at the end of the questions, unless someone has something last to ask. Otherwise, I would just go quickly and thank you everyone again for joining, for participating, for sharing your thoughts. Patrick, Steve, Ahmed, thanks a lot for your time. Thank you also everyone for joining and listening and asking questions. We'll be following up with you after the presentation next week. In the meantime, feel free to visit Nordcloud webpage or reach out to the panelists directly if you get some new idea or some new question in your head. If you'd like to revisit today's session, recording will be available by Monday on your emails together with the presentations. For now, that's it from us. Thank you so much and have a great afternoon. Take care, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Cheers.